Oh, okay, that's why. Okay, she's out. Okay.
You can make it.
I have
That is a 20-pound double meat Montessori.
Who are you?
My wife, myself, my two sons, their fiance, nephew, West Virginia. There's a lot of leftovers.
I love the leftovers.
And the carcass will
What's up? How about yourself? Good? No more Rona? Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Are you successful on Thursday by cell phone?
I wouldn't answer.
Successful by cell phone on Thursday?
Actually, I have to give it to yeah. Give them that. I could wait to get.
You're really
I took the other picture.
Yeah.
I've seen Mark recently.
See my son's in church.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, man.
Yeah. 209-677.
You know, it took me 2 times when I
Alright. Like go board supervisor.
Oh, yeah.
As always, let's all play the blues song. Play the radio.
United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. We do have a quorum. We do need to have a motion for Ms. Hoffman when she joins by electronic participation.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Huffman advised you on November 23rd that she would be unable to be physically present for this meeting due to being out of town. For the record, please note that the member is participating from out of town. Accordingly, pursuant to section 2.4.f of the Madison County Board of Supervisors bylaws and rules of procedure, I move to conduct this meeting electronically in compliance with Virginia Code 2.2-3708.2 and confirm that the quorum of the board is physically present and adequate arrangements have been made for the voice of the member to be heard by all persons in the room.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Should be on very shortly. do need to adopt an agenda. Anything we need to add this evening?
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Before we do public comment this evening, I think we've got something kind of special, honestly. We as a board have done like hundreds of resolutions. And like 99% of them mean nothing. It's a shame. Tonight, we have the privilege to do a resolution that does mean something. And it's an honor to present it. These individuals, after we read it, they're gonna say, well, we're just doing our job. They've gone above and beyond. Something everybody should recognize and be thankful that we have these people in Madison County. This is resolution 2020-29. Whereas on Thursday, November 12th at 004 a.m., the Madison County 911 dispatch received a call for a woman and a small child trapped in rising floodwaters. Whereas the Madison County Sheriff's Office, the Madison County Volunteer Fire Department, and Madison County Emergency Management Services all responded to the call located on Jack Shop Road. With Brian Gordon, Director of Emergency Communications, being the first to arrive, followed closely by Deputy Donald Dillon. And whereas, after quickly assessing the situation, which was deteriorating rapidly, the decision was made to attempt to rescue without awaiting specialized equipment or resources to arrive. Whereas Gavin Helm, Assistant EMS Chief on Response 3, and Noah Foster and Coleman Walters, with volunteer rescue squad members on ambulance 387 arrived on the scene. With only a water rescue row carried on the deputy's vehicle, emergency personnel attempted to reach a mother and child with a failed first attempt and the need to back out. A second attempt from a different angle was pursued, which proved to be successful, and both mother and child were carried to safety. Now be it resolved by Madison County Board of Supervisors that these first responders' act of selflessness should not be understated, as they put their lives in danger to save others. Because of their diligence and commitment to serve and preserve life, everyone went home safely. We need a motion to adopt this resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt resolution 2020-29.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Gentlemen, please stand up.
Can I get the 4 of you or 5 of you, whoever it was, over here, please? Just for a quick photo for the paper, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Gentlemen, we appreciate it beyond belief. We have a resolution here. We're gonna get you something a little bit more formal. We will get them to you as soon as we have them. But thank you all so much.
Mike likes that.
Smile. Brian, you got smiling, Brian.
We don't want you to go home, so if you got here, this is like the safest place.
Troy, do you have anything you'd like to say, or Mr. Dotson in the back, or Troy, or anybody?
Well, I'm just, just proud to be a part of one of the organizations involved. It's something that here in a small community, we don't get to do this on a regular basis, thankfully, but, we do train just like everywhere else in the world does, and you pray that when the day comes that you put that training to use, and in the split second that you gotta make a decision, that you make the right decision, that it was done, and I'm proud to be a part of that, so, thank you.
I'll second what Troy just said. I'm just proud that my organization had a part to be in it. I know that we have good volunteers here in the county, along with the career staff, and thank you guys. Appreciate it.
I'm going to second as well. This is a great example, volunteer career coming together. There was a time-sensitive emergency, and came together and made it happen. So great job.
Thank you all, good job.
Thank you all very, very much. Please don't stay here and listen to our malarkey. We will give you all some reservations. As always, let's start with public comment. Public comment.
May I?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks to Chuck Jackson's excellent reporting, I read the other day where apparently the school superintendent wants to give a 2% pay raise to, I guess, everyone that works in the school system. Mr. Jackson, do you know what a pajama day is?
I can only guess, but please, go ahead.
As a lifelong bachelor, I bet you don't. That's where your children stay at home in pajamas all day. Sometimes I wonder if that's what these school teachers do. And I wonder why, if you've got all this extra money left over, why you have to give it to school teachers when the people that should get it are the mothers outside the schools and the library downloading because we don't have internet in this county. If you're gonna give a bonus to somebody, it's those people, those women that can't work because they have to try to help their children. And I don't really understand this virus thing. When you go to the library here in Madison, and it's like you're going to court. You gotta have the masks, the hand sanitizer, the temperature. You gotta, 4 questions. You go to Culpeper, you wear a mask, you go into the library, you check out your books. So what I'm saying with that is, I don't think anybody knows what in the hell they're doing. And what I'm really interested in is once this virus, this vaccine gets disseminated, what happens when half the people in this country don't want to take it? Are you just gonna keep locking stuff down and not educating children? That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Other public comment? Other public comments? How are we doing on the digital public comments?
No chat so far.
Not flooding in here. Since it's on our agenda, and we normally do this during public comment anyway, y'all want to talk about the Leathers Lane deal? Get some folks home, and certainly don't want to be here. We do have this evening a submittal by Mr. Wigby on work that he'd like to do. Jobs, why don't you throw in your 2 cents on this?
Yes, Mr. Whitney has asked for permission to do more work on Leathers Lane. There are 2 sections of the road that he'd like to work on. Graphic of that. See. He'd like to install gravel from the end of the state maintenance into Leathers Lane to the point point where the earlier approval work started. That work goes from that point to in front of Mr. Whitney's lot where the road splits. And there's another section in front of Mr. Whitney's lot that we will install gravel with this proposal. So it's a proposal by Mr. Whitney to install gravel and then follow on to maintain some road there. My thought is that there could be better communication amongst the neighbors up there. And I'm not sure what the urgency is for installing gravel. So my suggestion is that we notify everybody in the neighborhood that this is afoot and ask for comments before the board takes this up for consideration.
Anybody have any issue with that? Don't have any issue with that? Please.
We were going to ask if Mr. Whitney would present his proposal, and then we would provide comments.
All right. Mr. Wigby, you want to talk about what you've done? And I still think what Mr. Hobbs is proposing, to get all neighbor input is the right way. Essentially, you're going to put down gravel from the end of state maintenance to where the first work started that has previously been approved and done, and then in front of lot 20, which was excluded from the work that Mr. Hoffman did. Is that correct? 57.
They can have this, they can do
Thank
like share, like 50/50, they do sections, let's do sections, fine with that.
I think we should go with what Mr. Hobbs has said. Get everybody's input. Y'all can convey back to other neighbors and make sure everybody's aware of this. Mr. Wigby asked me outside, and Mr. Linoff has said that shouldn't be doing any raking with the tractor of any type at this point. But if you wanted to hand rake some of the potholes, that would be acceptable. Is that reasonable or not? Mr.
Actually,
Linoff, yes.
can I make a comment?
By all
And
means.
I would like to make one comment.
Sure.
Can you hear me with the mask? I'm sometimes.
Tell us your name.
My name is Robin Cohen.
Yeah.
I live at 421 Brothers Lane. And I just wanted to state that we have no objection to the Whitby's proposal to lay gravel in front of lot 20. Since the entrance from the state maintained VDOT area just had a layer of gravel laid on November 10th, we question whether it's really necessary in this section. But we respectfully ask that they provide a map of the area to be gravelled and that a contractor be specified as has been done in previous proposals. And we also ask that their contractor refrain from laying gravel on the areas where Mr. Hoffman has either work approved or already completed. We also propose that the Whitby's complete their work prior to Mr. Hoffman's authorized section 2, so that his repairs on section 1, which was damaged earlier, and work on section 2, so that their contractor does not damage or cause further damage to the with the heavy trucks hauling the gravel in across the newly repaired section. So the sequence would be to have them do their work and then have Mr. Hoffman complete his work, so that we don't have to keep coming before the board. At this point, we'd like to remind the board of supervisors that the Whitbys are not the only property owners on lot 20 whose property abuts the road. Lot 17 is owned by John and Maria Lane, and lot 16 is owned by my husband and myself. And we have property opposite lot 20. So the Whitbys are not the only property owners, and we request the right to maintain the section of the road as well. We reserve the right to request future maintenance. The one point I did want to make is we do take issue with the Whitby's request to lay gravel and provide maintenance for these sections indefinitely in the future. At the November 10th meeting, the Board of Supervisors suspended the licenses of all Syria Mountain Estate residents to maintain the road without prior written permission. This was a reasonable and appropriate action for the Board of Supervisors to take on the matter, and we support this. As owners of Leathers Lane, it's reasonable for the county to request a written proposal prior to undertaking any road maintenance, whether it's routine road maintenance or heavy maintenance. This allows both the county and the affected residents an opportunity to comment before any work is undertaken. We support the Board of Supervisors in this action. To grant the Whitby's license to maintain certain sections of the road would be to grant them preferential status, as it shows preferential treatment to one property owner while maintaining restrictions against all others whose licenses have been suspended on November 10th. The same rules should apply to all residents who pay taxes to Madison County. Either all licenses should be suspended or all licenses should be reinstated. The Board of Supervisors cannot display partiality to one resident over others. In conclusion, we would ask that the Board of Supervisors to hold all residents of Leathers Lane to the same standards in terms of the process by request maintenance. And also, we ask that you not waver from the decision that you made on November 10th by prolonging this discussion and a vote at the December 8th board meeting. If the county decides to reinstate a license to one party, then they should reinstate the license to all parties. However, we regard that all licenses remain suspended pending written approval. And that all parties should seek county approval before any work, whether routine or heavy maintenance, is undertaken. Thank you.
Sun line might be a little repetitive, but I'm Charlotte Lenhoff and I live off of Leathers Lane. Again, we're not opposed to the Whitby's Lane gravel in the area. Where he's suggesting, except where you're talking about the end run Leathers Lane, up to where we started the work on work area 1. He's actually laid gravel twice within probably a month's time, maybe a little less than that. But we don't have an objection to that. After the Board of Supervisors made the decision just 2 weeks ago to revoke everyone's license to do maintenance, at the end of the meeting, Mr. Whitby asked you all twice if he could scratch and maintain the gravel in front of his lot 20 and at the beginning of the road. And twice, y'all unanimously said that licenses have been suspended. And you keep having to keep telling him this. It also appears that he's asking to be able to maintain these 2 areas with an undetermined timeline, pretty much asking for carte blanche to do maintenance whenever he wants to. And here we are, 2 weeks after you already made a decision to revoke all licenses, entertaining it again. When we started thinking about fixing work area 1 and 2, which is what we've all been doing on Leathers Lane, Ms. Hohen sent emails and letters to all Leathers Lane property owners laying out the project to include drawings, estimates, the name of the contractor, etc., and asking for folks' input. Mr. Whitby, with his proposal, never contacted any of us and some other home and lot owners to tell us this. If he had, he would have found out that I can say Brian and I and the Owens and the Purveys and several other people, my sister, this whole bunch anyway, weren't against him laying gravel. If he provides a proper request to the county to include the drawings showing exactly where he wants to lay gravel. And although there's a drawing up here, I don't know, was that part of his letter, his request?
It was part of the request also.
No, this was.
Yeah. So we would ask that be provided, that he's transparent, basically. What we are opposed to is Mr. Whitby be given preferential treatment by allowing him to do maintenance for an unspecified amount of time on the road, whether it's on a particular part of the road or the entire road. What you need to remember that there are other folks, again, like the Hohens and the Kirby's and the Lanes, who do own properties that are across from Mr. Whitby's, who doesn't own the whole road. Giving license to one and not all, or revoking all but one person, is giving preferential treatment, and that, to me, is walking a slippery slope. In fact, Mr. Hobbs, if he said it once, he said it many times to us, if we revoke Daryl's license, then we have to revoke everybody. But if you grant Daryl's request while everyone else is being revoked, then clearly that's giving preferential treatment. And again, we do agree with revoking everybody's license. On another note, Mr. Whidby's request, at the end of his letter, he signed it, the Whidbys and the SME lot and homeowners. I have a little bit of a problem with this, is that indicates that all the Syrian Mountain Estate lot and landowners agree with his proposal he sent. He's falsely signing the document for those who, one, didn't know anything about the proposal, and two, don't fully agree with it. So I just asked, because there was somebody else a couple years ago who did the very same thing when applying for a Firewise grant, signed as though everybody agreed, and when Firewise found out about it, they pulled the grant immediately. So that's something, just so you know, when you sign that, we didn't all agree with it. Let me see. If Daryl is given permission to lay gravel, I would also like to remind the board that he has significantly altered the lay of the road in several areas, namely in front of his house and in front of his undeveloped lot. He continues to plant grass on the roadway in front of his house and fostering tree growth, and pushing the drivable roadway towards the homes in the lane side of the road. My concern is if y'all do grant that he gravels, that he might have the gravel laid off to one side, that he needs to keep it to the existing road, just like the position letter indicates. To me, the resolution is very simple: revoke all licenses. All requests to do anything, whether it's digging culverts, using heavy equipment, tractors, down to hand raking, must be sent to Mr. Hobbs, Mr. Greggs, and or the board of supervisors for review. Additionally, any work that requires heavy equipment, such as using tractors, trucks, whether personal or by the contractor, and requires more than using just a hand rake, would require it be done by a licensed and insured contractor. But for simple, like hand raking or something, not so much. You have to get approval, but it can be done by any one of us. As a suggestion, if someone needs to rake out just a little bit of gravel, then a request to maybe go to Mr. Hodge for a quick approval, but anything beyond that would need to go in front of the board. Please remember that why we approached you 2 weeks ago, asking for a cease and desist, and why you revoked the licenses. If you get the license back, history shows that Mr. Whidbey will continue to do whatever he wants, with total disregard to the position letter. We followed the Madison County position letter on Mother's Lane to a T, and would expect that everybody would have to follow the same. Again, we do agree with keeping everybody's licenses revoked.
My request is kind of silly. My name is Brian Lenoff.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Whidbey wants to enhance and keep the beauty of a country road. I'm asking permission to remove the orange flags to enhance the beauty of our country road, because Mr. Whidbey has been told several times to do so, and has not as of yet. So I'm asking permission to remove the orange flags to enhance the beauty of our country road.
That's very great.
Oh, no, was it September 22nd? September. They was said they was gonna get written permission, the county has to have written permission to do the work in the sections. And they were saying I'm against them. I was the only one that gave them permission to work in front of them at that time. They never produced permission from any other homeowners. And also, section they're operating on is in front of one of my lots. I'm not against them. United States, if you look at the map, make them over here and show you. They own it. All from here. It's her driveway, it's the driveway from here. Okay? They don't fight it all in from here. They have it all from here, it's where they want, all from here. That's a majority. I'm asking, we're on lot 20 acres. I've been doing this for 20 years. I got over $30,000 invested in this road. And I want to work with everybody. I always get them permission. I just,
All right. One, I don't think we're going to give anybody back a license in any way. Is everybody on board agreeing with that? No license. Also, going back to Mr. Hobbs's comments. If you've got work there that you want to propose to the board, write it up, bring us a map, tell us who your contractor is. I guess it's Mr. Basil. Figure all that out and get it to us, and we'll make a decision on the 8th. I think that's our next meeting. The question I have is, when is Mr. Hoffman done with what, work?
We have not received the work date yet.
All right, so hopefully that doesn't interfere. Does that sound reasonable to everybody? Also, are there still orange flags out there, Daryl?
they were the line work, like a lines, get
Need
very.
to pull all those out. They need to get out of the way and make it very, very clear. Cardi?
Yeah, to make this perfectly clear, okay, so Mr. Whitney's going to submit a proposal, and Robin, would you tell me again what you want to see in that proposal?
We would like to see the same things as the written proposal we wrote, including a map and the name of the contractor.
Contractor,
The name of the contractor specified. That's all.
map and contract.
Map and contractor, and then what
And
is,
scope of
what's actual,
work.
the scope of the work, the scope of the work to be done. I think he's actually detailed that pretty well in his proposal. The only things that were missing were the map of exactly where the work is to be done and the name of the contractor who's going to do it.
Okay, now, Mr. Gregg, this shaded, D in this document, in Madison County's position on Leathers Lane, all residents wishing to make improvements or repairs to the road must obtain the consent of all landowners on Leathers Lane. That's something that's been added since our last meeting, correct?
And remember, this is simply a draft. This is a working document for the Board of Supervisors to consider how they might want to change the positions.
Right. So the consent of all landowners, that would mean, Daryl himself, in this case, would have to have contact information for every landowner in the entire development.
And here's the thought behind this. The idea would be that if we can get approval, we don't have to spend 20 minutes at every Board of Supervisors meeting dealing with a neighborhood dispute. On the other hand, if there's a dispute, if the information has been set forth, hopefully we have a better organized response to whatever the proposal is, so that perhaps we can move through this a little more efficiently. But again, that is my proposed language. I think it's appropriate that this be handled at the Board of Supervisors level rather than at the Planning Commission level, but of course this board has the authority, if it chooses, to send it to the Planning Commission.
Let's keep it here. Thank you. Let's keep it here. Is everybody okay with this new proposal?
Yes, I am.
Well, what about if we make a motion and adopt this though? Yeah. All right.
It's very difficult to reach out to landowners who don't live at that particular location. Because when we had our original proposal, we sent letters to all the landowners that don't have property there, and some of them did not respond. So if you're asking us to get everybody's permission, you're basically giving Daryl Whitney veto power over any road maintenance. This is an example. You're giving John Smith, who lives in Chesapeake, veto power by not responding with his proposal. This is very unfair to us all. The original proposal, when I came in here 6 months ago, was that we simply had to come up with a scope of work, a drawing, and a contractor, propose it to Mr. Hobbs and Mr. Gray. They would review it and see if it needed to come before the board or say that it's okay. That was proposal until all of this hoopla had started. And now you're going to make it very difficult on all of us to get anything done up there. And we're sorry you guys are involved, but it's not our fault.
Sure.
We're looking for a methodology. What I proposed, I think, is a methodology. If it's unworkable, then yes, people are going to have to bring it back in front of the board of supervisors.
What would be an alternative if there are absentee owners that fail to respond?
We could structure the language so that, to the extent people disapprove of it, they have to send that within some time period after the proposal is made. The letter should be sent by certified mail so that there's a receipt, so that people can handle it that way.
Are you willing to add some language to it, to do something like that?
We will
Everybody okay with that?
And again, the purpose of that language for tonight's meeting was for the board to have something to say.
All right,
But them trying to communicate with each other is not a great idea. I mean, this is gonna lead to further disputes, I feel.
Well, and you may be right about that, Ms. Foster. My concern though is the county does not want to arbitrate every dispute.
100%.
what about if we were to make some type of motion that we get Sean Gregg to add the language about yes?
I propose that we ponder this. I will send this or a revised draft, what Mr. Gregg develops, along with Mr. Whitby's proposal, to everybody in the neighborhood, and then ask for written comments before the next board meeting, so that we have everything from you. Maybe we can get this over cleaned up.
That works for everybody. That's back to Mr. Hobbs's original. Let's go, let's wait till December 8th. We'll have Mr. Wigby's gonna give full proposal to Mr. Hobbs. Plus, Mr. Gregg's gonna send out a draft of our amended letter on the position of Madison County on Leathers Lane. Yes, ma'am. I'm coming.
So are you still saying that everybody's still revoked and it's
Yes.
gonna stand good? Okay, the other thing is, and I can't predict the future, but having to get approval from every home or lot owner, especially when there's somebody who dislikes others so badly that all they have to do is say no to what, let's say I'll just put it out there, if I propose something, Mr. Whitby, all he has to say is no, and it's shut down. And that's just one person.
Well, that's not, ma'am, that's not what we said. We said.
Okay, then I misunderstood. Okay,
If we don't have.
I misunderstood then.
Wait, I'm good, Mr.
I'm good, yeah.
Mr. Wigby.
I'm saying for the third, fourth time, I just gave permission for about 18 days, that they proposed. I've given permission, and I'll say it loud enough, I give permission. I'm working with it. So,
All right.
only asking for permission from the law.
So Daryl's gonna submit a full application with a map, the contractor, and then the scope of work. Those are 3 items. Mr. Hobbs. We are going to send that out to all the neighbors up there, plus the amended letter that will be in draft form that we plan to adopt moving forward. There's no continual maintenance on anything. Is that agreed upon? No continual maintenance by anybody. And that's where we're at. I have just a generalized comment though. This is like a road that's about what, a mile long? Is it a mile long? Certainly, with one more round of this, you've done work orders, workplaces 1 and 2. Daryl's proposing something. We'll see how that all goes the next meeting. But after that, there shouldn't be a whole heck of a lot more work to be done on a little mile-long road. Not maintenance, anything. It should be done. We shouldn't hear about this for a period of time. Yes, Mr. Lenoff.
There is the back section that is only access to Brother Chester and Stacy Anderson that will be road maintenance in the future, but they are quarantined in Arlington and they haven't been going to their residence. So they will be proposing to you and they will know the proposal guidelines. But that part of the section has less traffic. It's the road less traveled per se. But there is a section that they will need to maintain, but hopefully it won't be as difficult as what.
All right. Is everybody agreeable with this? We're gonna see this one more time and then maybe again, that's it. Let's get some letters and up some neighbors and be done with this. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
All right. Ms. Thompson,
Yes,
please come over and tell us about your letter run rename.
thank you. You're okay? Good evening. I'm Becky Thompson of Oak Park, and along with Mariel Lewis of Rochelle and Mary Grogan of Patlin, we are a committee of the Madison Equality Project. We've been tasked with looking into changing the name of Mulatto Run in Ayler. Thank you for giving us the time this evening to present our findings. We first looked at the process by which Negro Run was changed to Tim's River 4 years ago. And you all were involved in that, so some of you will remember it. We found that it is the Board on Geographic Names of the U.S. Department of the Interior that has authority over place names in the United States. There are 4 points we'd like to make tonight. First, why do we want to change the name? The Board on Geographic Names will entertain a request to change the name of a geographic feature for a compelling reason. One of which, as in the case of Negro Run, is if the current name is derogatory or offensive. And the Oxford Dictionary says that mulatto is a dated and offensive term. And the Madison Equality Project thinks that that name doesn't belong in Madison County. Next, what should the proposed name be? The Board on Geographic Names policy on request to change a name rests on local use and acceptance. And I talked to Max Lacey of the Madison County Historical Society, and he said that the original name of Mulatto Run was Pass Run. And Mary Grogan confirmed with Professor Carol Nash of James Madison University that the original name was Pass Run. And there's a reference book in the Madison County Library called Land Grants and Surveys of Madison County by Dewey Lillard in 1999 that says the Mulatto Run's original name at the time of the early land grants in 1733 and 1734 was Pass Run, and that it was renamed about 1842. And the creek was called Pass Run for over 100 years. And D.R. Carpenter drew a map in 1940 of the early land grants on which the creek is named Pass Run. And a copy of that map is available at the library, and I brought one tonight if you'd like to pass it down. And Pass Run is clearly marked. And by way of an ad hoc, all the little maps drawn in the Civil War, the hand-drawn maps of battles called Mulatto Run. So renaming about 1842. Now, how do we go about changing the name? The Board on Geographic Names makes decisions only with recommendations from the local government or county government, the jurisdiction of the area where the geographic feature is located, and that's where y'all come in. The form used, the Domestic Geographic Name Report, is only 2 pages long, and the Board on Geographic Names recommends that attached are letters supporting the proposal from civic organizations, historical societies, owners of the property, news articles, and letters to the editor. The board does not recommend petitions as they cannot verify the features. Now, the last point, who will do the work? We 3 on the Mulatto Run Committee are willing to volunteer to be appointed as an ad hoc committee of the Board of Supervisors. We will write letters to all the property owners affected and the other entities named above with language approved by the board and or the county administrator. We will compile the responses and present them to the board for action. At this time, before public opinion is solicited, we are not asking that the board approve the name change and begin the paperwork.
We're only asking that the Board of Supervisors take under consideration our request to begin the process and change the name of Mulatto Run to Pass Run. And we look forward to working with you to make this happen. So if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Well, and I think I had a great meeting with Becky, we talked about it. Sounded like they were willing to do all the work. I'm personally in favor of letting them loose and let them put everything together. Endorsing what they bring.
Bob's, I certainly understand this business about changing the name from what Waywood has now, but I guess I'm a little more sensitive to naming things. I wish Brian Gordon was here to back me up, but when it comes to naming roads and places, I think it can be sensitive. So worry about what some of the adjacent properties think. So, as long as there's a healthy process to reach out and contact folks, it would be a good thing. I suppose that's not the words by the federal government. The shorthand way to do that is that we have a public hearing on it, and we have it as a forum, and we can say we have it, and if we can work into that. Certainly, no problem working with folks.
What about having this group, write the letters to the property owners and have them come through your office for approval, from the Board of Supervisors? That sound reasonable for everybody? And then, once we get through that part of it, we can schedule a public hearing and go on and see where everybody sits.
Thank you very much. We will draft a letter to homeowners and clear it by Mr. House and by you, and we'll carry on from there.
That work for everybody?
Yeah, with regard to what she was talking about, creating an ad hoc committee, Mr. Hobbs, do we need to do that formally? And if we did, then we would have to have minutes and all that stuff.
I don't know that that's necessary. I think this group is informal, and unless you feel that it's appropriate for it to stay that way. And you're right. If a group is sanctioned and appointed by the board, then we have to get into authorities and procedures and meeting notices. And certainly there's couldn't be no secret about what you're doing.
And we'll have all the language of everything approved by you before anything is sent out. And we'd probably like to send all the letters out on letterhead, of course, instead of just coming from us, coming from.
Seems like a good process, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, consent agenda. We have minutes from November 10th, 2020.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Mr. Fry. First of all, before we move too far into Ms. Fry and all these other ones, is everybody good with the committees they're on currently? Are we switching anything after the first of the year? Anybody not happy where they're at?
No, I'm good.
Kevin?
Yeah.
Amber?
Yeah.
Everybody's good, and that takes care of that. Ms. Fry, tell us about where we're advertising, what we've got, Phil.
Okay. We have advertised 3 seats on the planning commission, 1 on the IDA board, and 1 for the Rappahannock Community Services Board. I did receive 1 application for the planning commission. I do send a Mrs. Luce and Mr. Elliott, who at the end of January had decided want to be completed with my, so he didn't have to get it back to me. I, in haste, when I missed the first deadline, but anyway, they will advertise next week. I did it for 2 weeks, so, I may not have everything by the time we have the December 8th meeting. I mean, I do apologize, but I think she said her deadline was at 5, to take into account the holiday. So, but hopefully we'll have everything by the time we have the organization meeting.
Yes, I think Ms. Fry's done a good job. We're in very good shape, except for these three committees. Appointee to the Community Services Board has terminated out, so we can find somebody else to do that. We have no other time to do that. And then the planning commission usually is in flux. We're down to that. I think we're in good shape. We'll know more on December 8th. Certainly my goal to have everything in position so the board can actually go on this organization meeting.
Do we have any questions, comments on this? Seems like we got our ducks in a row on this one. Thank you, Ms. Fry. Constitutional officers, county departments, and others. Mr. Dodson?
Yes, sir.
We don't get to call on you. You're not here very much. Mr. Dodson, how's the volunteering doing?
Volunteers going better, going good right now. We've been meeting with Noah and his staff, deputy chief, and everything's working out.
No?
Yeah, this is a time to put Steve is saying we've had 2 orientation sessions, open the go live date of December 1st. There's roughly 5 to 6 NCRS members that should be able to hit the streets and run calls. We are down 2 full-time positions, one of our recent hires, due to the family situation, is going to become part-time. And then with the promotion of lieutenant to deputy chief, that leaves another position. So I started advertising today. We'll cross our fingers and toes. Historically, we do a pretty good job of getting these filled quickly. We're still dealing with quarantine and COVID, and we're getting calls from. That's all I got.
Roger?
Well, we're decorating for Christmas, so it's gonna be here before you know it. We've got a unit that's having some problems at the sheriff's office. I've got quotes on that. I'm gonna get that replaced in the next couple of weeks. 2 units at the Moore building have been replaced. There's 2 more still to be replaced. Did find some surprises when we were doing the Moore building, the first unit, so we corrected that stuff, and hopefully we don't have any more surprises there. Other than that, we're just moving on.
I seem enthused about the Christmas holiday, Roger.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Hey, you're a jolly fellow. John Shearer.
Nothing much to add that we haven't talked about for the last 8 months. You know, we're steadily gaining positive cases in the county. Today, 13 people have went to the hospital from COVID, and we're up to 4 people who died from the disease. You know, everybody's looking at CDC, VDH, all the guidelines, winter's coming, and in the numbers, obviously, are going to go up because people aren't getting out. If you look at our numbers up in Culpeper, they're going through the roof. Coffeewood is a big responsibility for that, because people can't spread out, and it's just spreading, obviously, just like they predicted, right? You can't spread out. The only other thing my shop has been trying to figure out is sheltering options. If we do have a winter storm, or we have electrical outage or something like that, where we have to evacuate certain people and put them somewhere, well, that's routinely done in an ordinary situation where we didn't have COVID. But now, if we have a family who's actually quarantining, it's just not going to work. We can't put them in a regular evacuation facility. So I've been working with the Red Cross, just trying to brainstorm how can we address this problem ahead of time and not have to just kind of come up with some kind of ad hoc. But the more we think about it, the more logistical questions we have about what do we do. I do have a plan for first responders who need quarantine. We've had that, I think, for months. But I've talked to our people, our cohorts in Culpeper, and you know, their answer is hotel rooms, which we don't have any hotels in Madison, but we might be able to move up there. So that's just something we're working on, something we're kicking around. And the bottom line is everybody saw what the governor just put out, I guess wants to up the mask mandate. And, there are some other things. But it's gonna be here for a while, vaccine is coming, and we'll see what that brings.
You got any questions for John? Mike, Mike Fisher.
Planning Commission, passes tower, you know, it was appealed to BZA, and I'm not sure whether they were gonna do a workshop. The Planning Commission did not have a workshop this month. We do plan to have one in December, and I haven't seen anything for a joint meet on 2 December, so I guess we're having one.
No, and since you brought it up, we do have a FOIA training scheduled for the 2nd. We need to reschedule that since we don't have any cases.
If it's more convenient for the board to reschedule, you certainly can. But the FOIA training is not dependent on the day cases.
Oh, yes, sir, of course. Would y'all prefer, since there probably is not going to be anything on the docket on the 2nd, that we go ahead and do, and we need to send out an email to the whole planning commission, that we do it at the first meeting in January, start the new year fresh, and do FOIA training? Everybody loves FOIA training, it's exciting.
I'm gonna add some really
we're
snappy features.
Yeah, we are looking forward to that. That is exactly what
We're talking
like.
about texts. This is the brand new topic. I've got about an hour's worth of material on text.
Good.
Yeah, so the planning commission's gotta be a part of this.
Yeah, and we should do it as a joint body.
Yeah.
You wanna do it on the first meeting in January? That work for everybody?
Okay.
Mike, we'll send out an email to everybody, but does that work for y'all?
That works, I won't be around, but that worked well, the rest of them come.
Well, we invite you as well. Let's try that. Ms. Hobbs, you send an email to our folks. Yes, sir. All right. Livingston.
Well, just trying to get equipment ordered for everybody before the 12/31 deadline on CARES funds. That's been going good. Along that line, I got to work with the DMV people this time to get a CCTV system spec'd out for them. And they want that before 12/31. So, spreading around. Setting up stuff for Clarissa's new hire. She's probably not here to tell you about it, but I believe somebody's coming. And just trying to get it all ready for them. As far as the ERP system goes, I think we've made a decision to put the backup system over in the basement of the War Memorial Building because they got a fiber link. Saves rack space in Brian's. And then we got the network being carved out for the entry system at the circuit court so that they can put that online and Roger doesn't have to come in on a snowy day. And that should happen soon. Clark's got the information they need and they're setting that up. I'm just running tickets after tickets. Loving it.
How did you get roped into the CCTV at the DMV?
Someone, somewhere said that they talked to some folks
Yeah, there you
on
go.
the different boards.
Well, good. I'm sure you're doing it in a perfect type of way.
Well,
Good.
I like helping them.
Yeah, we all appreciate it. Bill Bridges. MJ.
So for the last 7 business days, we've had an on-site audit. RFC came later this year. I don't necessarily need to explain why, but they came with less people. So the amount of time that they need to spend here actually increases. I heard some good news today, which is that they still think that they will make the state deadline of 12/15 for everything to be done. And as of right now, they have no audio adjustments identified. They still have some work left to do, and some of that will be sent to them remotely. There's a possibility that for some stuff, they may need to come back out here probably one day in the beginning of next week to finish up items. But it won't be probably won't be a whole lot more work for us. They'll need access to records. So that was a huge thing to get done because I've had a fair amount of absences lately at work because I haven't been well. I am still working on the trying to get those IT contracts signed. I see someone put that on the agenda. I didn't notice because we talked about that. They're not done yet. I mean, they just keep going around and around. We found out today there's a clause that didn't get in one of the contracts, and it has to go back to somebody's legal department. And if it doesn't get signed by Monday, then they need to rewrite the quote once again. So I would appreciate it if the other people that need to sign the contract can assist me in getting that done by November 30th. The other big thing that still needs to be done is we need to write the MOUs for all the outside organizations that are getting CARES money so we can actually disperse their funds. I think that will probably happen sometime. I will have drafts sometime next week, and hopefully that can be an expedited process also in terms of whoever else needs to look at it. I can't keep chasing paperwork around
How
for
many
weeks and weeks
MOUs are
and
you
weeks.
thinking?
I'm sorry?
How many MOUs are you thinking?
You need MOUs for everyone on the list that I gave you that's in green.
That's in green.
That's in green on page 3. However, you only need 2 versions. Everything except the Boys and Girls Club is a pure reimbursement. And it should be a relatively simple agreement. The agreement with the Boys and Girls Club is different because they're actually running the program, so it has to have different language in it. So basically, I need 2 different MOUs, and I have drafts. I quite frankly have not been able to get to this. I've had a pretty lot of work to do in the last several months.
So we get some
In addition to, of course, you know that I have been one person short in my department since the beginning of September.
It sounds like we may make some positive moves on that sooner or later.
I'm sorry?
And aren't y'all doing interviews soon?
Yes.
That's great. That's absolutely great. All right, what
I
else?
have 2 other things that should be mentioned is we need to get our applications out for outside organizations for the FY22 budget. That really has to happen probably before, I don't know if it's going to happen next week, but no later than the week after that. I will only be here 3 days next week.
When would those be due?
Huh?
You're gonna send out about next year's budget.
It depends on when you want to start budget season. We haven't had any conversations about that. The other big thing that's out there right now is there's only one board meeting between now and the beginning of January, and we had talked about there's a huge number of supplementals that need to be done to affect the FY21 budget for all the operating impacts of CARES money and some other arrangements that you guys have made this year. I am hoping, and I'm still planning on having that done for the first board meeting in December. So you will see a very large number of supplementals and very large numbers in the supplementals. But you need to do that anyway because first of all, you need to get a feel for what's going on with your FY21 budget. And second of all, you need to have that done before we start the budget season. So that's the next big thing, and that has to really be done. Now, the other part that we talked about was trying to have Davenport do something in December. I don't think that's going to be doable, just for my own schedule. I think you should plan on that sometime in January. It will kind of depend. The other big thing you have in January is RC is required by code to come here and present the report So you have some other large finance things due in January, but that would be my recommendation, is to try to get Davenport in here in sometime in January.
Any questions for MJ? Look, got a plan.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Did you see, Ms. Hoffman's comment on video?
No. What's her comment?
She's leaving the meeting because the voices are muffled, she thinks because of the masks.
Yeah.
And she said that anything, so for CARES money, I am not in favor. For CARES money, I am not in favor of giving money to the 4-H and only a very small amount to the learning center, excuse me.
All right.
We haven't gotten to.
No, we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, I will talk about CARES money a little bit later.
All right. Well, Blake, we're there. Status of CARES Act funding. MJ.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
distributed a report, a 3-page report to everyone. I gotta say, that the spent and encumbered, I think there may be a few little glitches in those numbers where some numbers belong in one column versus the other. I'm fairly comfortable that we're pretty much, that in total, these numbers are accurate. There were a couple significant changes. The last time you saw this in full was, I believe, sometime in October, 10/13 maybe. And there've been a lot of small changes for bills coming in slightly different than what was on the schedule, and I don't want to talk about them, but there are some big changes, and I tried to highlight them in orange. I think I missed one. One of them is the cellular antenna and modems for the on the bottom of page 3. These are in orange for ENS. That $35,000 was in the previous iteration was about 5, so it's plus 30. ERP components, the last time I gave you a number was before the final breakdown of all of the costs, and my number actually increased $8,000. The sheriff asked for additional docking stations of $8,650. And he also, which I forgot to highlight, he also asked for additional body cams of $9,981. I'm not sure that right now, I have to look at that. I think part of that cost may actually have to be absorbed in his department. So there's a possibility that there may be a little bit more money freed up on there. The only other change I made was that there was a lot of money sitting in supplies, medical supplies, like $40,000. Right now, in order to get the numbers to balance with all these additional costs, there's only $450 left. That assumes that you want to pay the $2,300 for the electrification.
That's not the right number.
Huh?
That's not the right number.
What?
And it does have the wrong name too.
What?
For PRA, it shouldn't be Steve Dotson. It should be Gary Carter.
Oh, I didn't copy. I
And
didn't, yeah, I didn't copy.
it's either $4,500 or $4,600.
Well, then I'm sorry,
Yeah.
somebody needs to send me a request, because what I got was a bunch of paperwork and I looked at it and I saw $2,300. We don't have enough money to pay $4,500.
There you go.
My recommendation would be not to do that because I'm virtually certain we will have more than $400 left in supply costs before now. So we simply, if you want to do something for PRA, you can, but there's just not any money left in CODES.
And we don't have any action at all on this 4-H deal.
On what?
4-H.
There isn't any money to give them?
Yeah, oh no, I understand the
And
principle.
my recommendation is to actually, so we have 2 things we've done with outside organizations. If they have a specific request that's related to public health or social distancing, and they can demonstrate that they want to go buy things to help them do things. We have honored people's requests for that. Other than that, the only other money we've given to an outside agency is the money that we gave to the Boys and Girls Club to run a program that is very much related to what the school board has done with their whole program. It supports that. So there's no question that I think those costs are eligible. When you get into the argument that you just need to give that this organization has been harmed because it can't operate as normal because of social distancing requirements, without pointing to anything in particular to spend the money on, that argument gets a lot harder. And I understand that VML VACO, and I had asked, because our auditor just told me this, apparently last week, or recently, VML VACO has put something out that says they don't recommend you do that. Now, I have not seen that. And I haven't seen it, so it's all hearsay on my part. But a lot of localities have chosen not to do that. And the simple answer is we don't really have enough money anyway.
We all think about this.
Well, I think that the PRA request is an important one, and if we gotta find it, I would bump Boys and Girls Club down to 120 and put the other 5 in PRA.
We already cut a check to Boys and Girls.
No, but I mean, we made a commitment to them that we were gonna give them that money.
Conditionally approved, it says.
Well, that's old.
Oh.
I mean, they are certainly under the understanding that they're getting $125,000.
If we were to pull 5 off of your ERP system, where would that put?
So the easier, we could do that, from a mechanical point of view. It's probably easier to take something out of EMS and charge it. There was $60,000 appropriated at the beginning of the year with the idea that we were going to finance an ambulance.
Sure.
So it was like the first year payment. It's sitting there, it's been appropriated, and the money's in the right bucket. So it would be easier to take something out of EMS and just charge against that,
Okay.
rather than
We're not doing
move
that.
stuff around related to
That seems like a very plausible alternative.
Yeah,
Realistic.
and then we can free up, I guess I didn't, I would like to discourage people from sending me a bunch of receipts and asking me to sit there and add them all up so that I can figure out how much money they want. It's just, if somebody wants money, then they write a letter and they say how much they want. Because I don't see where's the $4,500?
It's 2,300 by whatever that is, and then I think the others are REC to do their side.
So if somebody can provide me with an accurate number, I can certainly.
The number's 45. We'll get Jerry to send you something more. Probably not Jerry, but he's. So is the board inclined to go ahead and proceed with that and utilize some of Noah's budgeted money instead? That work for everybody?
Well, I would also recommend, if you're gonna do that, to take a little bit more out and put at least a couple $1,000s back in supplies. And if necessary, we can move money back and forth around that capital budget. Take some of the money out of this, charge it to the capital projects, and if we have money left over, we can move it back in.
How does that work for everybody?
Fine by me.
There you go. Let's do that. What else do we need to discuss on here? We're not doing 4-H, it looks like.
There's no money.
Yeah,
to do
I
4-H.
trust me, I got the no money deal.
Right. We haven't technically given them an answer, but because it's the, it's almost the beginning of December, I don't think they're planning on getting it.
They are. That's what it is. It's unfortunate.
Excuse me, what is PRA?
Parks and Rec, Hoover Ridge. There you go. That work?
Mm-hmm.
What else we need to discuss on this? Try to have one more updated list, first meeting in December since it's our only time meeting.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Since we are only meeting on December 8th, will you have an updated list on, I mean,
So I mean, the only thing that's probably gonna change, I can do that, I think that the spending will change, but I anticipate, I mean, I think my biggest concern right now with all these numbers is that there are huge numbers on the EMS side where they're still out there, where procurement was done in the summer and we don't have the things yet. So we need to take a hard look at what we don't have and find out whether we're gonna get it.
no,
I'm going up to Fort Payne, week and a half from now to pick up Net 30, which is the third truck. The Tahoe and F-250 will be delivered by the end of December. And as we mentioned, already picked up last board meeting due to COVID at the factory plant. Net 40 that was projected for December 31st is now in January. I understand that there's some leeway there, there. But everything's on track as of this morning.
Fort Payne where?
Indiana.
There you go.
Fort Wayne, sorry.
So-
Fort Wayne.
I can't hear what people are saying back there, but the biggest thing that's out there where the county is really exposed to hundreds of thousands of dollars of having to give money back is those ambulances. So the question is, are we gonna get them or are we not?
No, you get in touch with MJ. Like,
That's
soon,
like German.
and convey all what you just told us. Seems like that's a reasonable direction. Are we good on the cares?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Are we still conditionally approved? Are we approved for, I noticed the 18 came off, but are we approved for the two things that we requested?
Looks to me like you're doing $11,942.98
Then the one underneath.
And the one
There you
underneath?
go, $3,500. Yes,
Okay, so those are approved,
yes.
okay.
The only thing that's holding up dispersing that money is we don't have executed documents.
Right, then,
And I have been allocated that task of drafting documents.
So if you can get those next week, then we can.
I'm certainly going to try, but I have a very heavy workload right now.
then do we, MJ, do we need to contact you with what we have already spent? Or
Yes.
is it the other way around?
I think that the 11,942, I think that you've actually provided detail. I'm not sure if I have receipts, but.
No, that was provided to you as an estimate of why we needed that much money. And we have spent some of it already on the desks and chairs. So it will, my understanding, one of the other meetings it was at, is that we did not have to spend it to the exact specifications I requested.
Talk to MJ.
I can't
I
hear you.
know, I'm sorry.
Talk to MJ tomorrow.
Yeah,
These are
I'm
the two.
not understanding what you're saying.
Talk, Miss Lacy, talk to her tomorrow. When y'all can
Right, okay.
congregate or talk on the phone, email back and forth, or whatever you people do. Get it straight. These are the two numbers that we have approved.
Okay,
And that's where we're at.
okay, and then I will contact her
Yes,
on the
ma'am.
specifics of it.
That's
Thank you.
correct. Any other discussion on care? Move on. Financial software.